But yeah, so back to we already touched on the topic about we're the culture that says that kicks our kids out.
Yeah, that happened back, I think, after World War II, back when everything was cheap as fuck because everybody was rolling in money because we just got done with a big ass war.
We
It was like,
won.
you're 18 now. You have enough money. Go buy a house.
hmm
And then that became the standard.
Could you imagine? Could you just imagine being able to buy a house with just your job money today?
Right. And
Just
not
the
even
money you
like,
get from working 40 hours a week, having enough to live on.
right.
It's
Be
fucking
great.
crazy.
No, but listen, I'm all about starting a commune now because I want to have I told you I wanted to buy a bus, gut it, and basically build a studio apartment in it? You're muted.
You haven't mentioned that, but I can see you doing that.
That sounds awesome, man. Like, if they're called schoolies, I've seen so many people do it, and they're like under $50,000 to have it all done. And it's a
Biggest
mobile apartment on
issue,
wheels. Go
biggest
ahead.
issue that I have with those is they're diesel. So you kind of have to know how to work on a diesel engine because they are finicky, finicky machines.
Okay.
If they break down and you don't know how to fix them, you are fucked. Matter of fact, point in fact, when I was in high school, a little bit before the ICP blasting days, so before I really went down the asshole path, I was driving around and I saw a school bus in the Walmart parking lot, and I saw a dreadlocked hippie looking dude tossing some devil sticks outside of it. I
Hell
was like,
yeah.
that dude looks cool. So
He
we pulled into
was.
the parking lot. We struck up a conversation. They invited us into the bus. We smoked some dope. We hung out in his bus house, and it was cool. We ended up exchanging shrooms for weed for Christmas time. We became friends. Couldn't remember their name to save my life, but they broke down in
I like
Walmart.
Moonbeam.
Yeah, they were broke down, and they didn't know who to call, so they just kind of stayed there until their bus home got towed.
Well, that's a good thing about the about doing that because I want to have it to travel, but I don't want it to be like I'm living across the country because I still got to have a job. Basically, I'd
Right.
probably park it most times, but if I wanted to go somewhere, oh shit, well, I know like a band I like is coming to North Carolina. You guys want to go and take a 2-day trip? Just taking my house up there and driving back down.
So
That's
like an
more,
RV, but that you constantly live out of.
yes, because I don't need a lot of space.
Same.
Like
Same.
I'm fine with just a little bit of space. I can get rid of most of my shit. I just need to have it big enough to put my computer and my mattress, and I can work from there.
I'm definitely a minimalist. Like I have a lot of space here that is empty space. I've got a closet that just has the boxes that I moved in. They're just in there.
Yeah.
Because I don't need all this space. This whole room behind me, just for my computer desk against this one wall. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems
I'm with you on that, man.
wasteful.
I want something bigger than a camper because like a camper seems too small.
It is. I can tell you that right there.
And I was like, man, I'd like tiny houses, but I could also want a tiny house on wheels. So if I just want to go, oh shit, a hurricane's coming to South Carolina. Let me just pack up my shit and just drive up.
Yeah, I'll just go west for a little bit.
Yeah.
So speaking of tiny houses, I was driving my delivery route today and I saw this neighborhood of tiny houses.
That's awesome.
It was just 50 little tiny houses. And I was like, damn, I could live in one of those. That is just perfect.
Right? Especially if it has a loft.
Yeah. Oh, dude, so I was living in an apartment with,
This is how I know I'm old too, because I'm getting excited about a tiny house.
there was me,
Was you?
Skip,
I remember Skip.
Brett, Phil, Frank, and Will. There were 6 of us living in a 3-bedroom apartment.
It's doable.
We each shared rooms, but I had a loft that was, it was like a bunk bed, but it was against the other side of the room, so they weren't directly under me.
Yeah. You can still look them in the
Man.
eyes while you're beating it.
Well, this was when we were in the Christian household, so there was none of that happening where
Oh.
anybody could see you.
Oh no.
But every morning my alarm clock would go off at 4:30 and I would jump out of my loft to like basically bounce off of the foot of my roommate's bed because our apartment was very small. Not with my feet, but like I would land and usually stumble, boom, knocking into them. I was a terrible roommate.
It sounds like it.
This is the same time period that I was wearing my cut off Jinko jeans, cut off into shorts, with my golf socks pulled all the way up to my calves, wearing my white sneakers with a sweater vest and a button-up shirt underneath it.
Now, when you said Will, did you mean our buddy Will?
No. This was
Okay,
in Atlanta. This was
Fuck,
a
did he
different
get
Will.
sucked into a cult too?
No, Will was always his own person. I knew him in middle school, and then high school came around and he just kind of fell off of my radar completely. And I felt like a bad friend because I just I don't know where he is. Oh well. And I went about my life, but he was just doing his own thing in the same school, going through the same classes. We just didn't interact.
The end?
And then when I didn't,
Is that the end?
well, got distracted by Toker doing something. I thought it had something to do with our with that artwork I put up. But yeah, I didn't run into Will again until we were both late in our 30s, working at the same factory. And I'd seen him for like 3 months. And I was like, that dude looks so fucking familiar. Where do I know him from? And his dad also worked in the same factory. And that's when I found out that his last name was McLeod and his son Will worked on the other machine. And I was like, I know that dude. And struck up a conversation, found out that he wanted to play some Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or whatever. And
You called him a loser, you pushed him down, and you took his lunch money.
yeah, exactly.
Loser.
Kicked his knee out from under him.
Now, see, like, I don't know, man. Dungeons and Dragons has kind of always been cool, at least in my lifetime.
Lucky you. I was late to discover it. I was in my high school. I was in high school back in 1996.
That was the year I was born.
So it must have been 96. I saw 2 of my classmates hanging out, throwing a weird dice against the wall and talking. I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, really? They didn't have a book. They didn't have paper. They were just making shit up as they went and throwing a dice so that see what the number was. And it was so pure and so perfect. Later, come to find out that one of them was a staunch member of the KKK, and the other one ended up going to jail for touching kids.
Oh, that kind of Wizards and Dragons. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, but it's kind of funny because I was like, oh man, if I had because I went and I went home and I talked to my parents about it. I was like, oh, I just saw these two dudes doing this really cool thing, and it sounded really fun. Well, what is it? Dungeons and Dragons? No, you will not play that game. It is the devil's game.
The Satanic Panic, baby.
Yep. Like I said, this is Walterboro, so we were real behind the curve on a lot of things. The Satanic Panic was still in full swing in 1996.
It still is, depending on where you go around here.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure that there's some people that if you told that you played D&D, they would run you out of town. Some of those small town places.
I've kind of thought about starting maybe not me, but someone starting a D&D kind of like group in prison. Apparently that's starting to become a thing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a thing. Now think about this.
Think if I went to prison, I would want to do that because
how else you gonna pass the time?
Anyway,
you can't jerk off all the time.
Apparently, anyway. Maybe.
But there's programs in place now where you can you can volunteer, or I think you have to volunteer. I don't think you can get government subsidies to be a prison DM. But like some of the minimum security prisons that have group therapies and stuff, you can swap out group therapy for D&D sessions.
Now, I want to go to a maximum security because I want to hear Bloods and Crits being like, I fucking waste them, fool. All right, roll for initiative.
Yeah, roll it. No, that's
actually, I think one of the biggest issues is you can't have dice in there.
Yeah.
So you got to get real creative with like
online rollers, man.
I don't think you can really have computers in there either. But think about it. If you're a DM,
in American prisons, no. You go to Norway, man, if I ever get stuck somewhere, I'm going to Norway and I'm killing somebody and getting life in prison because their prison is, it's like they're actually trying to help them.
Well, here's the thing. They'll probably just extradite you.
Yeah.
Which would fucking suck, man. Don't do that.
No, it was absolutely a joke. Now, I will say when I was in my real dark times, my real edgy dark times, I used to think to myself, if I ever get real stuck, I'll just hold up a liquor store and go to prison. 3 hots and a cot, man, I'm fine. And now I realize how fucking stupid I was as a kid.
You might survive because you're big, though. You got that for you. I'm pudgy and fuckable. I won't last.
I mean, it depends. Could you just like embrace that role?
I don't think I could, man.
Just go ahead and live into it, lean into it.
Maybe if I'm just so aggressive with it, fuck me, fuck the sad boy.
Oh, that's not okay.
It's not. It's like I always think of the Patton Oswalt skit where he's talking about how it's like Mad Max and he's tied to the front of a car. It's like, who wants to fuck the sad boy?
I think what made that worse is actually seeing your face while you were saying that and just knowing that you would still have that full fucking bearded woman beard.
Don't they shave you in prison? Like when you get there, they cut your hair and all that shit?
Yeah, I don't think that they keep that up, though. Unless you request it.
I'd probably have to shave my head, man. People grab my hair.
And then until they just grab the plunger.
Yeah. You're gonna let them keep plungers. Dude, our prisons are so fucked.
Well, that's because they're for money.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the judge that just got indicted for falsely sentencing like juveniles and kids?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him all the way.
They weren't all false accusations, but a lot of some of them were. And they were like It's like they thought a kid stole his bike without looking at the case. They gave him like 2 years or some shit like that.
I saw where they sent one girl for 14 months because she made an online, she made a MySpace or a Facebook profile or something that
Or a
was
principal.
of her principal. It was just a kid venting her frustration, and they sent her
Yeah.
to a year and 2 months or year and a half. No,
Yeah, it's some dumb shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
put
it
him
was
in
all
general
because a
pop.
friend of his knew owned the prison. It was a private prison. And he
Yeah.
got fucking kickbacks for it. God.
Healthcare, prisons, and school should not be businesses, and that's why all three of those suck.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like people who, I don't know if you remember recently, they were all up in arms about the post office and how much money it lost every year. And people had to explain that is a service. It's not losing money. It is expensing money because that is a federal service. It's not a business.
Yeah.
Could you imagine for-profit mail?
Yeah. Honestly, if they would stop sending me shit, I would just stop paying the bill and they could keep it all. I hate getting mail. Stop sending me mail. I don't need it. It's all junk to me.
You say that now, but and yes, now at this time and day and age, sure, mail is not as important as it used to be. You can get everything deposited to your account. But imagine
point.
back when you were, say, someone who received their Social Security pension, their checks
Oh.
came in the mail.
I agree. Some people still need mail,
Yeah,
but let me opt out.
yeah.
I have an email. If I have a jury duty, send me the email or call me or text me. You know, don't send me a piece of paper.
I haven't checked my mailbox in 2 months because all my important mail goes somewhere else. I know the only thing that I'm going to have in my mailbox here is junk mail.
Yeah. It's like I don't want a credit card. I don't need a loan. If I need those things, I'll go get them. I don't need you to.
You know where they are. You don't need to be advertised for them.
That's like when you see Coca-Cola advertising. I'm like, do y'all really need to advertise?
Well,
I think
a lot of those advertising firms can be written off as a public expense, lowering the
really.
taxes that they have to pay. Oh, yeah. Think about it. If Homebrew Detritus hired an advertising agency to get our name out there and to really get our business growing, we could write that off as a business expense. We'd have to have the capital up front to pay for the advertising firm. Sure. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of nonsense legalese crap that we'd have to do as well. But you get a marketing team to put your name out there, write that off as a business expense.
It's dumb.
Mm-hmm. Well, all of capitalism is at this point.
At this point, not all of it's dumb. I don't think any one system works by itself.
No, of course not. That's why there's so many different systems. People just refuse to implement the good parts of all the different systems. I mean, imagine a society that had all the best parts of capitalism, socialism, communism,
Yeah, just a sprinkle.
just a sprinkle. But the problem is everything requires human empathy in order for a society to actually work.
Ooh, too bad we ain't got none of that.
Yeah. The majority of people are severely narrow-sighted. Like they don't experience empathy beyond their immediate social influence.
See, this is why I want to start a cult. Come on.
I mean,
well, like it's cool. We're a cult. We say that up front. We're cool about it. We're not trying to hide it as a religion thing. It's like we're a cult. Come join us, man.
well, see, that's the thing. Cult kind of it means religion. it doesn't have to be a cult. It could be a collective.
Collective, commune, cult, same thing.
Yeah, but any organization of people is going to have the same problem. People. They're always going to fuck up everything.
I've already figured out how to weed out the bad ones. It's real simple. You take someone to the grocery store and say, hey, here's $100, buy groceries. And you park, you go inside, they grab the buggy, they buy groceries, come back to the car. And what I test them on is, do they put the buggy back in the buggy bin? Or do they just leave it somewhere? And that's the test. That's how you get into my society.
What you'd have to do is you'd have to have them drop you off somewhere. Be like, hey, drop me off at the hair cuttery and then go get groceries and then come back and get me in a little bit. Don't let them know that you're in the parking lot watching, because anybody who thinks someone is watching them is going to do what they believe the other person wants them to do. Here's another
You gotta
test.
have a narc at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, here's another test for you. Give them the grocery money and let's see, how would they know what other people want? Whether they just bought groceries for themselves or whether they bought groceries for everyone.
That's not important. What they did is they bought groceries. I just want to make sure they have enough like decency to put something back where they found it. Or like just leaving a wallet somewhere and finding out what they do with it. Because if you just take the wallet and don't do nothing about it, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
If you pick up the wallet, take the money, return it, I'm not going to kick you out for it, but I'm going to make a note of it.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing in the world. You return like the important shit. It's kind of their fault for leaving their wallet out. That's on them. I think you just go move on to a different test. That's like one like in the middle. Agree, disagree, and
this was late one night in the summertime, and I went to a real rough part of town because I wanted to buy drugs.
okay.
I was 17 years old. I wanted to buy weed. I just wanted to buy some pot. I didn't know where to get it from.
Behind a grocery store or behind a parking lot's a pretty good start.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think about that. I just went to where I knew drug dealers were. And so I'm walking down on this street, the only child, because I was still a child at that time. And somebody came up to me and they're like, "What you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm looking to buy some weed." And they're like, "Okay, dope. Hang on just a minute. Let me go talk to my guy." And I was like, "Dude, this is going swimmingly. Okay."
This guy's a cop is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. So I'm standing there on the sidewalk and this other dude comes up to me. He's like, "You waiting?" And I was like, yeah. He said he'd be back in a minute. He's like, "How do I know you're not a cop?" I'm like, "I'm 16 years old." He goes, "Let me see your ID." So I pull out my wallet to show him my license like some kind of moron, and he snatches it out my hand and shoo, gone.
So it was like a Mexican cop. Or a cop from Mexico.
Or America. 3 weeks later, I got my wallet in the mail. Somebody mailed me back my wallet that was empty of the $15 that I had in it. But they mailed it back, which I thought was really nice.
Was it them who mailed it back, or did they just throw it somewhere and someone found it?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. Someone was nice enough to mail me back my wallet.
Was there a return address?
No.
Oh, then it might have been him, because that'd be cool. It's like you knock on the door, it's like, "Hey, we answer the door." It's like, shit.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Here's your $15 back, kid. I feel bad about that.
That's funny. Hey, you waiting for that weed? Let me see your ID. No, or you should have tugged it out. Like, just take a couple steps back. I mean, what were you gonna get for $15 anyway, Frakes?
This was 1997.
How much
I would have gotten
an
what's the damn terminology? Not an eighth. Yeah, an eighth. An eighth, enough for a blunt.
An eighth is. Hold on, I gotta do my math real quick.
It's an eighth of an ounce.
Half an ounce. God, I'm too not great there to do math right now, and I'm stuck at like 27. So 28 grams. Yeah, 28 grams in an ounce, 14 grams and a half, 7 grams and a quarter, and 3.5 and an eighth. You'd have more for a blunt. You'd have like two, maybe like one.
Yeah,
and a half.
it'd be like a blunt in a joint, or a blunt in two joints.
This was weed math.
Yes. It's been so long since I've actually partook that I completely, and I was never any good at that aspect of smoking dope or in the rolling part of it either.
I don't roll. I never learned how to roll because here's the thing about rolling. When you know how to roll, other people want you to roll. So
Yep.
what I have my glassware, and I'm like, do you want to roll? I was like, I got my bowl. We can hit that. There's the gong. I don't want to sit there and roll. I'll do a cone. Cones are real nice and easy. Just pack them full. But if
I
I'm just
bought
like
a
regular
cigarette roller for that specific reason, and I ended up breaking it somehow.
It's really neat. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not going to sit there and waste my time doing all that dumb shit when I can just
put it in a bowl.
Yeah, and like smoking a joint or a blunt is a whole commitment. You don't want to stop halfway through.
Yeah.
Well, the bowl, you can take a hit, do your shit, come back, take a hit, do your shit. Or if you want to, you can sit there and smoke the whole thing. This feels weird now.
I tend to hyper. That's the other thing. The other reason you asked me at the top of the show why I don't smoke anymore. I tend to hyper focus. I've got 3 gears. 1, super paranoid. Got to do perimeter checks every 5 minutes. Worrying about what I think I'm thinking about. Hyper focus on one thing to the exclusion of everything else around me. So if I start drawing, all I'm doing is drawing until that high goes down. Or complete and utter brain dead, where all I can do is stare at whatever flashing colors are on the TV and just kind of let my brain unravel itself into infinity.
That's nice sometimes.
Yeah, I don't like it. Not anymore. I don't do shrooms for that same reason either.
I thought you do them all the time.
I used to.
Or you just recently stopped?
Not recently. It's been about well, it was before we hit season 2 of our flagship show. Hell, I think it was shortly after the first or second appearance on Noob Show.
A year ago? Because Noob Show's only been out for a year now.
Yeah, it was the gallbladder.
We started at episode 50. Now we're on episode 51. Next week will be episode 52. But since I missed a week, technically it would already be a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did 2 episodes right here.
But we spread those out if you can. So it's not just you and me the whole time.
No, that's what it is. You and me this whole time. It's Frakes part 2, baby.
Hey. Welcome.
Shout out our shit. I don't wanna.
Well, if you liked any part of this, or even if you tolerated it gently, but also like role-playing games, check out homebrewdetritus.com. That's with 3 W's in front of it. That's where you'll find more of this, us role-playing, playing different characters. Some of us just playing ourselves, pretending like we're playing other characters. But we're all over the place. We're on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Apple Tunes, whatever podcasting service that you like. Give us a listen there. Give us a rate and a review. Hook us up with 5 stars. It helps us out. We're